three core values are authenticity, community, and legacy. First and foremost, there's so many parts to my experience that really built confidence in my identity, because I'm somebody who always saw law as a vehicle for being more personal in who I am and who I wanted to become. So, for example, in the process of building confidence in my identity, in becoming a lawyer, a lot of my process to do that was trying to create spaces, safe spaces for people to really grow personally and professionally, so they could really understand how to really become the best version of themselves. And by extension of that, I could then really grow into a person who's saying, when I become a lawyer, I want to be the best version of myself, the most authentic person of myself. I want to be able to get judges from diverse backgrounds. I want to be able to get people who may not come from conventional backgrounds in my industry, and I want to forefront their voices. And by getting involved in all the different areas of my journey into law and speaking about it online and building my own personal brand, what it allowed me to do was it really allowed me to really break out of my shell. It really allowed me to go into rooms and have more conversations with people that wasn't just based on, oh, I've studied this subject, oh, I've been in this practice area, and almost try and boast about my technical knowledge before I even have it. And what it did allow me to do was, when I went into interviews and when I went into internships and opportunities at renowned investment banks or law firms and international media companies, I could bring some of that creativity, that entrepreneurship into those spaces, because I wasn't afraid to create things. I wasn't afraid to tell people that I don't see the future the same as you, because I didn't go to the spaces as somebody who was trying to be a lawyer in order to become someone else. I was trying to go into the spaces, becoming a lawyer that was trying to create spaces and navigate spaces as myself in order to bring other people up into the fold. And even after I knew I was going to become a lawyer, it didn't change, and actually that amplified more for who I am, from going to Kenya and conferences and speaking to people internationally, who was entering into spaces that I was really inspired by, to go into entrepreneurship programs in Uganda and in the UK. That just allowed me to access more spaces, be more entrepreneurial as someone who was becoming a lawyer, and that led me to get respected in my field for creating spaces and really being myself and championing other people without me just being seen as somebody who is just trying to be like someone else. I've got three core values. So my three core values are authenticity, community, and legacy. The reason for me having those values is because I could not have gone into the industry that I have gone into without being myself. There were so many occasions whereby I really felt like I'm trying to be someone else. I was trying to replicate certain people's tone, their language. I tried to understand, oh, I know what international financial centers are. I had absolutely no idea. But what I was trying to do was, I was trying to act and pretend like I was that most technical person, or I was the most research person, when really I was a very industrious person that was quite intelligent, but really came to life when they were being themselves and they rapped and played the piano, for example, or they were, creating a society at university that got me into rooms, that got me opportunities, and that became a value of mine. And for me, community is something I just really value, and it's something that it allows me to know when I build with people and I serve people, we build together, we build ecosystems that support each other. So it's not just me on a journey on my own trying to be seen by everyone. This is me trying to create spaces that allow people to really see themselves in their industries or see themselves in their world, and allow me to contribute to that as a person I want to become. And legacy for me is something that I've just have such a special place for as a value, because it's led me to go on a pathway where I didn't want to practice law, because it didn't really seem like I could create a legacy on the back of this. It just seemed like I was just trying to become what everyone else thought I should be. I wasn't really taking ownership over that journey, you know. And for me, doing poetry and going into community spaces, that's where my legacy is. When I speak to young people about their journeys and their futures, that's where the legacy is. When I think about entrepreneurship, when I think about trying to create initiatives that really help people to navigate their own journeys and stories, that's where my legacy is. And that legacy value for me allows me to think, if I do this and it's not serving a wide enough base of people, am I really doing things for the right reason? And to go into why value-based leadership for me is important in businesses, for me, it's the basis of, you know, you can create profit as a business, but if your business is not trying to create something that stands the test of time and allows its employees to really take ownership and take pride in that organization, then can they really become leaders in your organization? Because the leaders of your organization of tomorrow are going to be the people that really invest in and value you as an organization. And if you've got values plastered on the wall, or you haven't got values plastered in your systems, values plastered on, you know, your appraisals, values plastered in how you know, conduct yourself with your executive team, then you're a valueless organization. And people want to be led by organizations that care about people, that care about what their values are too, and they want to feel like, if I step forward into leadership here, I can represent something more than just let's reach the bottom line. And I genuinely think that's where the next generation of the workforce are going to go. They don't want leaders who are just serving the shareholders and serving, you know, the quarterly reports. They're serving, you know, the greater value of what they provide to their customers and what they provide to their stakeholders. And that's why I can see value-based leadership being something that allows systemic ethical leadership to really formulate itself in quite a clear and thorough way. I think as there are two sides to that disconnect and what leadership can do, I think the disconnect firstly comes from that value disconnect. So when people don't really share the same values, and when people can see themselves in the leadership, then they might think, if the leader doesn't support my causes, doesn't support my perspective, then how can I know that as a leader they will champion me and promote me and support me and what I want to become? And I've seen some great instances, which I'll go on to speak about, where organizations have, you know, really championed the values of people and really wanted them to succeed. So for me, I think there is a values disconnect in how people see each other's values. I also think there's this element of judgment that exists with leadership, where they look at people who are from Gen Z and they say, oh, you guys are on social media all the time, oh, you guys are just on TikTok all the time, or you guys just take, you know, you guys aren't as hardworking as us, you don't have the same mindset as us, you know, you're quiet quitters. They put all these labels on people from Gen Z without actually looking at what is the reality, what they've gone from. Oh, they've gone through a recession in 2008 as part of their growth journey, but that doesn't matter. They've gone through a pandemic as part of their growth journey, but that doesn't matter. Oh, they've gone through all these increments of change in society at a rapid rate, but it's got nothing to do with why there's a mental health epidemic at the moment. It's got nothing to do with why young people want to see more flexibility in their working environment. You know, and I think some organizations, they look at Gen Z almost like, you guys are so weak, you're so soft, you know, you're not like us. But the reason why we're not like a lot of people who are in leadership is because our experiences are not the same. We're exposed to so much more, we have so much more insight that has been seen. And I think when there's that judgment on Gen Z and that disrespect of what they stand for and their love for equality, their love for justice, their love for, you know, wanting to see the world as it truly should be, you know, it prevents that leadership from actually having conversations and promoting people who actually will allow the future workforce to add 10x more value than organizations have done over the years. And for me, I think in order for leadership to be able to connect more with Gen Z and to be able to have more of that relationship, I think there needs to be a lot more There needs to be a lot more immersion in how do we champion, people who are not like ourselves? How do we champion people who are the future? Because I think sometimes leadership gets us away when it doesn't look at what the next generation are saying, and it's just looking at what the leadership want to say. And if you want futures of tomorrow to come into your organization, you can't just sit there and say you're not saying what we're saying, so you're not right for the business. It's more like you're not saying what we're saying, but we value that difference and perspective, and we want to really take that forward. And I also think our leadership can really look at how can we make Gen Z's perspective on how we run our business assist us in how we connect with audiences that we may not connect with. Gen Z are not going to be the future of the workforce tomorrow, but by the time they are the future of the workforce, social media will have drastically advanced. The way that we build relationships on a digital world is going to drastically advance. We've only really been building digital relationships with each other over the past 10, 20 years. It's only been one generation. So when the next generation happens, how do you build more connections with your audience and your customers in ways that they want it to be seen? And if Gen Z are be able to take the lead and think of how do you build that relationship, how do you build that brand voice that actually allows the organization and company to be able to relate and connect with people, then that's going to allow the organization to really thrive and to be able to build a strategy and a model of business that encompasses what the future is going to look like, as opposed to just saying, we care about Gen Z, but we don't include them in our strategic thinking. We don't include their perspective on the hiring processes, and we don't include their perspective in our marketing campaigns. There is this difference between saying you care and acting like you care, and showing through action is going to be the most important thing.